In this video, we will understand the hydrologic cycle. We know that water exists in three states: solid, liquid, and gaseous. And water is circulated on Earth mainly by solar and planetary forces. Due to this circulation, various hydrologic phenomena occur in nature. And this continuous chain of hydrologic phenomena is known as the hydrologic cycle. Water is transported from the oceans to the atmosphere as vapor by evaporation, and from the atmosphere to the land as precipitation, and back from the land to the oceans as runoff, which can be well understood from the schematic diagram of the hydrologic cycle. As we can see here, that water from the sea gets evaporated to the atmosphere, then from the atmosphere water comes to the land in the form of precipitation, and from the land it will go back to the ocean as runoff. The hydrologic cycle has no beginning and end. It is endless. The hydrologic cycle is a continuous cycle. As it is a continuous cycle, we may assume it to begin at any stage and end at the same stage. Here, let us assume that the cycle begins with the precipitation phase. Then, as we can see here, that some portion of precipitation is intercepted by the trees. Then, some portion of the precipitation is used to fill the small depressions. So, the part of the precipitation is intercepted by trees and other obstructions, and this part is known as interception. And a part of precipitation is used for filling the small depressions in the ground, and it is known as depression storage. Some portion of the precipitation will infiltrate into the ground. First, let's understand what's infiltration and what is interflow. Portion of precipitation reaching the ground percolates into the ground is called as infiltration. The part of precipitation that infiltrates into the soil and moves laterally through the upper crust and returns on the surface, that is known as interflow. Some portion of the infiltrated water is held by the capillarity which is the saturated zone at or near the ground surface and is ultimately evaporated from the surface. Then some portion is used by vegetation and it will return to the atmosphere as transpiration. Some portion percolates deep into the ground and it joins the water table as groundwater. Then some portion of the infiltrated water that has joined the groundwater table will find its way to the stream as groundwater flow or base flow, and another portion may drain into the ocean. As we can see here that the part of the precipitation that has infiltrated will move laterally through the upper crust, like here it will move laterally, and it may return on the surface, which we defined as interflow. Then some part of the infiltrated water will percolate deep into the ground and it will join the groundwater table, and some portion will drain into the sea. After that, some part of precipitation, that is some portion of precipitation that will be left after infiltration, will flow over the ground into the streams as surface runoff. A large portion of the precipitation left after infiltration flows over the ground into the streams, and it is known as surface runoff. We can see here that the stream flows towards the sea. Some of the water in the stream is evaporated, some of the water is transpired by vegetation, then some portion of the surface runoff may seep into the ground from the stream bed if the groundwater table is lower. If the groundwater table is lower than the surface of the streams, then some portion of the surface runoff may seep into the ground from the stream. And if the water table becomes higher, then the portion of water that has seeped into the ground may later rejoin the same stream at some point downstream. This is the flow chart of the hydrologic cycle. As I had told, that some portion of precipitation will be intercepted and some portion will be used for filling the small depressions in the ground, which is interception and depression storages. Then some portion of the precipitation reaching the ground percolates into the ground, and it is called infiltration. From infiltration, as we know that there are voids in soil, so some portion of the infiltrated water will be used to fill those voids. So it's soil moisture. Then, as I told you, that some portion will be held by capillarity at or near the ground surface. So we can see here interflow, then some portion will percolate and it joins the groundwater table, so it will be groundwater flow, and the remaining portion will join deep groundwater. Then some portion of precipitation that is left after infiltration flows over the ground into the streams as surface runoff. Then the surface runoff, interflow, groundwater flow, deep groundwater flow all will join the ocean ultimately. And everywhere the processes of evaporation and evapotranspiration are going on. And one term you can see here, that is direct runoff. So direct runoff is surface runoff plus interflow. And groundwater flow, also called as base flow. So direct runoff plus base flow will be equal to the stream flow, that is runoff. So this is all about the hydrologic cycle. Thank you.